Hello, hello! Now, I'm actually not going to start my Texas commentary yet. I just thought I would highlight an issue that I see quite often with battleship commanders, and that's that they're very impatient. You see how here I'm waiting, I wait until the cruiser commits to his turn. And when the cruiser commits to his turn, that's when I fire, and I allow the cruiser to turn underneath my shells. That's basically how you kill stuff, especially at lower tiers where all the cruisers are quite small. And I happened to be doing this on the Texas when I saw a bunch of people who were just like panic shooting. They were shooting far too early. They didn't have the patience for a battleship commander. And it's all about, basically you have to allow the cruiser to kill itself on your shells, because if you attempt to shoot at someone who's just going straight, well, of course sometimes they don't pay attention, but if they're paying attention it's very easy to dodge. But here you see, I wait, okay, he committed to the turn. I'm shooting where he is turning. I'm shooting so he turns underneath my shells. And this way he turns right under where I was shooting. And that's basically how you delete cruisers as a low tier battleship. And I feel that a lot of people are still missing this concept of how to use these low tier guns. Anyway, on to the actual Texas itself. Now this is obviously a upcoming premium that we were allowed to preview, test, whatever, because I'm a community contributor. It will probably, I have no idea when actually it will be arriving in the store. I probably need to check it out. But it's basically the new upcoming American premium. It's, to put it simply, it's a New York with significantly buffed anti-air. Now, at first I was worried that perhaps they went overboard with the anti-air, that it was absolutely ridiculous. But luckily that was not the case. The anti-air is strong. I think, if you still get targeted by CVs, they will still be able to do damage to you. You're not suddenly impervious to CVs, but it does cost them planes. And at these low tiers, generally CVs want to avoid losing planes unnecessarily, because their plane reserves are very small. So I think what will happen is that basically this Texas will become an undesirable striking target. Basically, CVs will prefer not to strike it simply because they know they will lose planes while doing so. And of course, it's a fairly agile ship, even though it's incredibly slow. They managed to make it even slower than the normal New York. The normal New York is 21 knots, this is 20.5. The difference is of course extremely minimal, but the fact that they managed to make it even slower than already an extremely slow battleship is of course noteworthy. But the AA is not overpowered, but it's definitively significant enough that I think as people learn what basically the Texas niche is, I think CVs in general will try to avoid it. Not to the same way they might avoid, let's say, Cleveland, that they simply will not touch it, but they will simply have preferential target selection where they will prefer to go after normal New Yorks or whatever else, a Congo or something, rather than going after the Texas. So in that sense, I guess it works. Of course, other than that, it's very much a basic New York. Whether this is a good or a bad thing is naturally up to you. Dispersion, as always, on a New York is very random. You can have extremely good volleys, you can have extremely terrible volleys. In general, because it has more guns than the Congo though, I found it more efficient at dealing long range damage than the Congo. But you see there, my accuracy was pretty much on point on the Skiro, but I only hit one shell, so honestly, neither these battleships simply are not meant for long range sniping. I have the range module simply to be able to shoot at range, but I'm obviously going to close the distance where I can be effective on the ship, because US battleship, especially all the way up to the North Carolina, they excel at brawling. The Wyoming, the New York, the New Mexico, the Colorado, these are all excellent brawling battleships that when they get close, you see, as soon as I close distance enough that I'm actually able to land my volley. That was out of all things a Kirov. That's the Russian T5 cruiser that has a massive citadel. That was the equivalent of a Pensacola showing broadside to a Colorado. You just don't do it, so you obviously got instantly deleted. But I think generally, I mean, it's a good ship. It's strong enough that you are able to carry. Of course, it's a battleship, but it's a strong enough battle. It's not a Mayogi or something, which is basically such a bad ship that it's rough to actually carry a game in it, but it's definitely a very carry-worthy ship. In fact, it's pretty sad to say, but it might be one of the best American premiums right now, like for its tier. Like the Marblehead was really good, but after the nerf, it got the nerf wasn't too bad with the AFT and all, but it definitely had a significant impact on how much fun it is to play. Whereas the New York or the Texas, if you enjoy the New York, you enjoy the low tier battleship style, especially the more close range style of the New York, the American battleships. And then I think you will quite enjoy the Texas, because the New York and both the New Mexico, they are both extremely strong battleships. I don't know what people usually there's a lot of people on forums and Reddit and whatever, they explain how bad battleships are because they get killed by HE spam, but that's mostly because they don't understand how AP works and how citadels work and so forth. So you should take that with a grain of salt. So if you like playing battleships, I don't really see a reason why this couldn't be a good ship for you. Captain wise, honestly, I have a hard time seeing, like, you could train some captains on this. I mean, maybe cruiser captain you can train, but mostly it will be for the US battle line for sure, or battleship line, because actually the US battleship line synergizes really well with the captain training that you use, basically, because I used my Montana captain, and when I looked at the specs, I would basically spec my Montana captain exactly as I would spec my Texas captain. So there's great synergy in retraining your US battleship line captains. Great synergy in that, and basically it synergizes really well in that way. But DDs, not really. You use completely different specs. Cruisers, it gets kind of questionable. You don't really want to use the same stuff, because on especially higher tier cruisers you want to go concealment expert and such. So not really. For low tier cruisers maybe the synergy is there, but for high tier not really. I'm gonna try this Tenria one more time. I keep overpenning him. If you have noticed, I'm shooting for a Citadel, but I'm overpenning him just slightly. You notice I'm shooting just slightly above his waterline because he's sailing slightly away from me. Now I'm gonna see if RNG will finally favor me with the Citadel. I've been basically hunting. There we go. Finally got the Citadel. Of course that would probably have been a double Citadel now, but he died from one. This game though, we have 4 kills, and I've killed 2 of them. But we have all the caps, so overall it's looking quite good. This for Taka, of course. If cruiser gives you broadside in, well, it doesn't matter what tier, but it starts basically at T4. If a cruiser gives you broadside and you're a battleship, you know where to aim. You see I'm aiming slightly below the water level because he's coming slightly towards me. So they should land right at his water level, and when they land at his water level, they usually pen his Citadel, and he gets just deleted. Pretty much all my kills so far have just basically been cruisers giving me broadside. And because the Texas, much like the New York, has 10 guns, it's a very, very heavy broadside, and the guns are easily strong enough to pen any armor they have. So, as I said, a very strong ship. Of course, as I was saying, it's a bit sad, but it might actually be one of the strongest American premiums so far. Marblehead suffered from the nerf. The Saipan, well, the Saipan isn't a bad ship, as I said. I've never called the Saipan a bad ship. It's just mediocre, I guess, average. Like the Saipan cannot do much that the Hiryu cannot. Like, very meh. And the Atlanta is just bad. I don't know what other US premiums are there even. Are there any? Maybe I'm missing some, but in general the US premium line has been extremely lackluster. So at least this USS Texas is very, very strong, especially for the tier it's in. Basically the New York is already strong, and this is a buffed up New York that gets rid of one of the major weaknesses of a battleship, the CV weakness. So overall this is just a very strong ship. Is it overpowered? Nah, not really. I mean, it has the anti-air, as I said, but it's not broken overpowered by any means. You shoot down some planes, that's pretty much it. You don't become immune to strikes, and there's no reason strike CVs can't just delete you just as well. So a pretty well designed premium, ultimately. Like, I think, I'm pretty sure VG is gonna sell this quite well, this one. Like, I don't see a reason for them, mostly because most of the US premiums are so bad. Now, I think this one is pretty lackluster though, because it's basically a reskin New York with better AA. That's pretty much it. Of course, since they're the same class of ship, so it makes sense. But still, it's not exactly... It doesn't have any niche, like, for example, the Mikhail Kutuzov with the smoke, or something interesting like the Loyang with the high traits. Basically just a buffed up AA, that's it. But if it works, it works. I'm like, as people who like this, I mean, there's a good reason people like low tier battleship play, and that's mostly because you can be very effective and it's honestly quite fun. High tier battleship play tends to be very, very stale in comparison, so there's more action going on in low tier, so honestly quite fun. Generally just a good ship and quite fun, so yeah, they're pretty sure they're gonna sell quite well, and I have no issues recommending this ship. I mean, you know exactly what you're going to get. If you like the New York, you're gonna like the Texas. It's that simple. That's how easily you can judge it. If you hated the sluggishness of the New York, if you couldn't deal with the slow speed, then you're not gonna like the Texas either. So that's how easily it goes. The Texas, of course, like the New York, makes up for the slow speed with really good rolling capability, with good turn rate and good armor and really good firepower. So, yeah, you see what you get, and you get exactly what you see. Now, we're still leading. It's actually, what's the score? It's 6 ships to 6. I'm kind of drawing, basically fighting them all, since the rest of my fleet went to hunt one kamikaze. That's interesting decision making. Oh, cruiser giving broadside. Needs getting some points for my team, so rather get the free kill than go for the angled Wyoming. Didn't even need to citadel him there. Just so much firepower, or so much AP power. Once again, this is starting to get tempting, but honestly, this Königsberg, it looks like another cruiser giving broadside. Like, this is what when I did the introduction of patience and in general capitalizing. In low tiers, people show a lot of broadside in their cruisers. You just gotta capitalize on it. Wait patiently, and then take the shot. Of course, you have to push close enough that you can take advantage of it when they do give you broadside, but as long as you are able to take advantage of it, you're able to be very, very effective as a low tier battleship, even though you're slow. But you might have noticed my positioning in this game. I stuck around C and B the entire time. I didn't overextend too much anywhere. Like, the worst I did was push deep into C, but that's pretty much it. I didn't overextend. I didn't go chasing their CV or chasing something in their base, because this ship doesn't have the speed to go on those sort of missions, on those sort of cruises and stuff. No, this ship excels when you put it in a dominant position on the map. And in this case, a dominant position on the map is between B and C, two highly, especially B, which will be guaranteed a contested point in every single game. I got Kraken there, by the way. But, of course, I focused on C when they were pushing C, and then I focused on B when they were pushing B. And that's basically, you have to plan ahead. Much like in my New Mexico commentary, I want to emphasize the importance of planning ahead. When you play these slow US brawling battleships, you want to plan significantly ahead, so you actually can make use of the advantages that the ships have. Nice little, what was 25k volley on that guy. Got Confederate on high caliber with that one volley as well. I popped my repair because my front turret was damaged, and I'm pretty sure the Wyoming is about to shoot me. So I didn't want to lose it, because if you get a crippled turret and then it gets hit again, then it gets permanently destroyed, so I kind of want to avoid that, since I want to keep my glorious firepower. At this point I could just finish off the Wyoming, or the Myogi, quite easily, but the game is about to end, and I am straight up, flat out damage whoring here. Oh, well, that was an underwhelming volley, only 10k damage. Ah, not getting that citadel. There's a high possibility I might actually die here, because I am basically straight up damage whoring here, because I already have my Kraken, I have my high caliber, I have my Confed. There's really not much else I can get besides, well, I could get my 6th kill by killing my Ogre, but I don't really care about that. I'm just gonna wreck this Wyoming some more. Another 12k volley. The rest of my team is finally seems starting to join the battle. That's always nice. Okay, my Dispersion decided to disappear that one volley. Oh, I'm pretty sure I'm dead here, but so are they, so depends on who's gonna die first. Oh, we died. He actually died before me, but because there's the slight like split-second delay, I managed to still die afterwards. But anyway, damage-wise, 140k. Base XP, the Kamikaze did a lot of capping, I did a lot of killing. But you can see just how effective you can be. There weren't sadly no CVs in this game. I wish there would have been, so you could have seen. But in general, I think people already are fairly aware of like what the Texas strong point is, because in general I was avoided mostly. CVs very rarely went for me. I kept trying to get a game where they were good for me, but nah, no chance. So I guess it's doing what it's supposed to do. Right, as usual, module-wise, there's not really much to talk about since it's a premium ship. Upgrade-wise, main battery mod. Range for the guns, although I guess one could argue that going range for the AA would be a viable option, but honestly I just prefer the range for the guns, because otherwise you're kind of crippled on the range. I think the default range is something like 15.6 or something similar, and I don't like it. I want a bit more extra range, so I definitely go for the range upgrade. Gives you more versatility, even though I always of course push up and I want to be active and close. It doesn't mean that I don't want to be able to shoot the targets far away, especially because the ship is so incredibly slow. So definitely range. And damage control, because the other two are fairly useless. Consumable wise, honestly I recommend getting both premium consumables. It's a 45k credit investment, but you get an additional repair on a shorter cooldown and you get a much faster damage control. This shaves 40 seconds off your cooldown, so definitely makes for a much more enjoyable gaming experience. Captain perks wise, usually I always get situation awareness. I get this on every single ship as my first perk. It's just so goddamn important. It's just so good, so useful. So situation awareness first, expert marksman second, because nothing else matters for a battleship. Third, I'd probably go vigilance as the third one, because this is T5, this is like the golden hotspot of all the minikazes, kamikazes, and everyone and their sister has torps. It's just constant torp spam. Even here, like cruisers will try to torp you and shit, so probably vigilance. And then advanced firing training as your fourth perk, because of course the bread and butter, the thing, the whole like the niche of this Texas battleship is naturally the slightly improved anti-air that it has. This anti-air here, oh well fuck, excuse me, yeah, this anti-air here is basically the thing it has going for it. So buffing it to 4.2 kilometers instead of the default 3.5 is a pretty nice bonus. And once you have gotten advanced firing training, there's literally no point of going deeper into the tree at all. After that you just start stacking points. The next point into basics is survivability. Reduce fire and flooding by 15%, very very important. And once you've gotten that, then you can get Superintendent for an additional heal. And once you have Superintendent, then you can jump back and get better anti-airs and of course better secondaries, but mostly for the anti-air. So honestly, yeah, you build it like, I'm using my Montana captain, and I will build my Texas exactly like I built my Montana. And the Montana kind of shares similar strengths with being of course a battleship that has strong anti-air. So if you happen to be leveling a US battleship line, then this is a nice captain to be able to basically train your captain with, since you will be going for much the same perks as you would on the US normal line. Anyway, that was my Texas review. I hope you enjoyed it.